GMC Jimmy. I picked it up a little bit ago. It's not mine, but I'm just doing some work on the fuel lines and on the fuel pump. And now the starter's gone on it, so I'll show you how to replace that. And of course, the very first thing you're going to want to do is take off the negative cable off the battery. Bolts on the starter for the starter wires, they are very hard to get at through here. But I did manage to get them off to check the connections before without taking the starter down. It took a ridiculously long time to do, so I'm going to try something a little different. Before I try and get the wires off, I'm going to undo the 2 bolts here that hold the starter. 2 bolts out, and what I had used was a short extension with a 9/16 socket and a 3/8 drive ratchet. Now it should just pull right out. I'm going to try and give you a shot here as best as I can. It's a little hard to set up the camera down here. But now that you've got it slipped out of place there, you should be able to get at the wiring from the top. I'm hoping. That wiring is very difficult to get at, so the way it was. I tried getting at the wires from the top and I couldn't do anything with it, so you can see where I've got the starter tipped up. I'll give you a little idea of what I've done here. I've got the small wire already off. It was a 8mm, and this would be probably a 13 or a 1/2 inch. I'm using a 1/2 inch, and this is how I've had to get these off, with a ratchet like this. So, give you an idea. If not, you're going to have to try and get a wrench up in there. And in order to get this out, I had to have it turned upside down like this to get it to find its way out. It's a pretty tight squeeze. So here's the new starter. These are pretty tiny little things, and I'm glad, because you'd never get the thing in and out of there. Every starter is different, so a wise thing to do before you go and put it back up there is make sure that you have the proper sockets that are going to fit, and this one is an 8, and this one is a 13 or a half inch. Either way, both work. Yours may be different, they're not always the same. So before you lift it up there, just take the nuts off the ends and the washers. That's just one less thing you got to monkey with up there. I've got a little wire brush. I'm just going to clean up the wire connections there a little bit. So this thing should go back in the reverse of what it came out. I had to have it upside down. So. Stand it up and slide it in. And flip it back over somehow. And there you have it. Okay, got the main wire on. I know you can't even see what you're doing here, but there's a tab on the both wires. Have a little tab, and it has to fit into a little groove in the starter. If you don't get that little tab into the proper groove, then your wire is gonna not sit in there properly, and you're gonna have all kinds of connection problems. Not to mention, it might be facing in the wrong way and short out up against the exhaust, so it's important everything is turned in the right direction. put the little one on. And I'm just using my fingertips here to get it started. Okay. With my nice bendy ratchet, works out just fine. And that doesn't have to be overly tight. And especially the little one, be really careful with it. When you put the starter bolts back in, don't go replacing them with just ordinary bolt. These GM bolts have like a mesh right here, and this is kind of a high spot, a little bit higher than what the threads are. And they are special bolts. They keep the starter from binding. And this starter didn't have any shims in it. I don't even know if they still had shims under the starters in '98. I don't know if anybody could tell me that. I don't really know for sure. So there's the new starter in place down there. Wiring looks okay, it's not touching the manifold anywhere. Now just put the negative cable back on and fire it up. And in this truck's case, it's not ready to start yet because the gas tank has to go back on. But that's another story in another video.